Hello there. Welcome again to today's podcast. In a previous podcast, we talk about learning to learn, the system. I'm creating a series of my personal system where I can show you how you can organize your process of learning better. And the main reason I'm started to discuss all these topics before any other IT engineering scientific topic is because I think it's such an important topic that you need to understand today how to learn quicker, better, and faster than anyone before. There is no other skill more important than this skill that you might have or you need to develop today. Learning is if you're an engineer as I am, I'm Carlos Corrales. I'm telling you again, I'm Carlos Corrales. I'm been working as a software engineer for more than 10 years and I'm being lucky to meet a lot of people to understand how people learn, how people process the information they consume, and how people what the main mistakes, the personal and other mistakes that most of the people have when when learning. So the idea of this podcast today is to show you another of my mental model of how to get more wisdom. So in the previous post, you can go to the other podcast, but in this podcast, we're going to talk about how to get more wisdom, a personal management system, wisdom management system. That you can see here on my blog. We're going through all the posts that I wrote a few weeks ago, and we are going to talk about all these cool things that you can implement when learning. I'm going to remind you a little bit of the first post about the system, the person, my own personal system. I also wanted to tell you again that these type of systems are in an endless loop. So they never, until today, they are not finished. I try to evolve. When I find something that works, I try to change it as less as possible. But when learning when learning is such a huge and important topic for me that I'm still don't feel this is the perfect system at all. So just to let you know, this is not the perfect system, but at least it's a system. If you don't have any system, I think the best way to get something faster is use something that is already in the marketplace, like this example, that this system, and try to adapt to yourself. So in a previous podcast, we talk about how to learn. I explained to you that I have three stages in my process of learning. The first process is a funneling information, where you identify, you filter the information that you need to consume. You order the information depending on what you're looking for, the questions you are trying to answer. The second stage is active learning or indexing. This is and I call it active learning on purpose because active learning is one of the most important stages that you will do on learning. So go back to the previous podcast to read more about it. And the third is delivering. Delivering is pretty important stage on how you evolve and recall the same information and you deliver that information, how you understand that information to the public, to the people, in order to help and in order to understand other edge corners that you might not be aware of. So one of the cool feature about delivering, one of the best thing about doing this podcast, sharing a lot of information on LinkedIn and Twitter and through videos and podcasts is that first you recall the information once more time, and second, you will always find a person that say, hey, you are wrong, you're right, I like this, I don't like that. And that give you an edge, an advantage competitive on when thinking, when learning, because you will understand from people or from when you are learning what other people think. So that's why I think it's super important that you get focused today, learn how to learn, and join me in this podcast that I'm going to share with you how to get more wisdom. Wisdom is a pretty important step on learning. Learning is not about consuming information, reading there, seeing some videos. Learning is on purpose, and getting wisdom is a life goal for everyone. Getting more wisdom is not only for those scientific people, for those that needs to write books or maybe read a lot. If you are a person, I think one of your main goals in life forever is get more wisdom, but get more wisdom on purpose. A lot of people, when you grow up, when you live day by day, you get a lot of wisdom because you are still learning from the day, from the previous day, from the month, from the previous month. But most of the people are not learning and getting more wisdom on purpose. And when I say on purpose, it's because you need to take control of things. You need to be organized. You need to understand your lessons. You need to understand how you consume information. You need to understand how to process information. You need to understand that not everything is true and not everything is false. You need to know how to structure your notes, your thinking, how to write better, how to communicate to the public. So you need to understand a lot of things that if you don't organize them properly, you are going to lose it. And I'm going to share with you today a structured way to organize all those informations. The main information that I'm going to share with you on how to is because I want you to start to explain and you start to understand the importance of learning and learning in such a way that you become smarter and you don't waste your time just reading or studying and don't remember anything of what you read. So now if you allow me, I will show you how to get more wisdom, how to improve your thinking, notes, and writing, and how to get organized in your learning process. But for one let me start explaining you one of the most important concepts that I want to deliver to you today. Thousands of years ago, Aristotle presented a classification of knowledge with three structures. He divided and simplified the whole complexity of human knowledge into three forms. Episteme, which is the same as scientific knowledge. Techne, which means skill and craft, those skill and craft that you develop by yourself. And Pronesis, which is practical wisdom. But listen, practical wisdom is pretty important. Aristotle was so smart that he made a distinction about practical wisdom than wisdom itself. In formal education, the episteme is often the main goal when learning and teaching, and that's one of the big problems today, by the way. Learning theories and concepts with little emphasis on techne, or what is the same with little emphasis on practical skill and scientific method, is like walking on an endless sidewalk. And it's important that the episteme and techne get the same level of attention when you're learning to avoid the state of plateau. What is this state about? So there is a research by psychologists. So when you learn, you have three stages: the conscious, the procedural, and there is one stage that is an autonomous stage. So at that point, when you reach the autonomous stage and consciously or unconsciously say to yourself, I'm pretty good at this, I'm super good at this. At that moment, you stop thinking about how to become better, and for sure, you will lose a skill. Or maybe you don't lose the skill, but it would be pretty hard to get a new skill or get more skill on those things that you want to get more wisdom. So before knowing about this Aristotle classification of knowledge, I learned from experience through years of study that learning and wisdom can be achieved when we live with curiosity. Curiosity is pretty important. Some people go through life learning because they are super curious about how things works, and those people are pretty successful on life. In my opinion, this is one of the main characteristics of engineers scientific that are pretty good. They are super curious about life, and they take this curiosity to such a level that when they evolve as a human being, they create such a complex level of understanding that create an edge above other people's. So the most important thing, and one of the other important things that you need to understand, is that you need to take notes. You need to write, you need to take notes, and those notes need to come from the core of practical thinking. Practical thinking gets practical wisdom. Wisdom seeking must be on purpose and must be aligned with your goals and with who you are. I also think that practical experience should guide you to the theory, but theory can also guide you through practice. I think this is a pretty important insight here. I saw a lot of person that say, "Hey, you need to practice to in order to get better." I understand that point of view, and I certainly agree with that point of view. But for my experience, when you understand theory, when you understand the episteme, the scientific knowledge, at least a little bit, you connect the dots a lot easier. You understand the insights, and you understand how they connect each other. So that's what I think you can learn in both directions. You can learn a little bit of theory, and after that practice, or you can practice and after that try to understand without the theory. But after that, you need the theory. So there is a common factor here, that you need at least theory and practical both at the same way. But the order is not such as important on my opinion. So in simple terms, I'm going to share right now with you my mental model, of how you get more wisdom. I create this for myself, but I'm going to deliver it for you for free. So what is Pronesis? Pronesis is the outcome, right? It's the output. Pronesis is equal to memorize episteme plus Reinteschne plus practical thinking. So let me repeat again. Pronesis, which is the same as practical wisdom, is equal to memorize episteme, which is the same of memorization of scientific knowledge. Reinteschne, which is the same writing skill, the skill that you get, the insight of how you get the skill, what you learn from what you practice, and practical thinking. You need to have some time to think. So Pronesis is equal. I will repeat again: memorize scientific knowledge, write the craft that you don't that you experiment, that you live, and think. At this point, I hope you understand the importance of memorization, writing, and practice. But how do we get organizing during this process? Is there a better way to keep all these notes, access to what I learned quickly? Theory and concepts come from different places and should be organized. There is a lot of information there outside, and you need an structure, another system that I'm going to share with you in the next podcast of how you can get organized. Real life project will give you insight that you shouldn't lose. This is one of the main issues. I can tell you right now how many process and projects I have been working on in my past life. And one of the main lessons that I understand when trying to do this system for me is that if I don't write those insights, if you don't write the lessons, it's probably that you're going to forget all of them. The only lesson that you don't forget are those that are really, really, really painful. But if you see in your past life, you see yesterday life, really experiencing really painful and experiencing pain in life. There are few of them. So you will get more hurt for those experiences and for those lessons, mistakes that you maybe are not controlling with this type of system, with this type of notes. The second brain, for my definition, is a place where it's episteme. So I'm going to share with you how you save theory and concept from different places and how you can organize it. Real life project, as I said before, should give you insight that you shouldn't lose. And in my opinion, the best way to don't lose all the insight, all the lessons, all the mistakes, all the information you consume, everything that you can is using something that internet calls second brain. The second brain is just a project, a personal project. I think it's one of the most important project that you have in your life. When you control all the information you consume, when you order the resources you consume, you save the information, the leader concept, the practical thinking, your writing, and all these type of resources. A second brain, for my definition, is a place where episteme is classifying topics and is used for spaced repetition. And recalling and Antechne is organized and linked easily with episteme. There are different note-taking systems: molecular notes, Zettelkasten, simple notes, and evergreen notes. These are different frameworks for taking notes. I have a personal framework for take notes. Has a little bit of all these four frameworks that I just told you. but you need to have one of them and you need to review them. If you want to get smarter, you need to have this. You should do your own research to see which one is better for you in general. So you're looking for something that help you first avoid duplication, track changes, linking or tagging, and graph visualization. But we are going to dig in this topic in our next podcast. So let me wrap everything for you of what I just wrote a few weeks ago. Today, I just share a wisdom management system, how I divide my information in three categories: episteme, testing, and pronesis. Epistemes are all the scientific knowledge. Every piece of data that I understand is inside this space. Techne and craft is everything that is come from my experience. I try to write as much as possible and I put it here. And in order, I try to practice, analyze, and think about everything that I try to learn. And in order, I will get more wisdom. Or I hope so. So this is my personal system for wisdom management, and I hope you like it. You need to understand the main mental model that I just shared here. Pronesis is equal to memorize the episteme, right tension, and practical thinking. You need memorization. Was a pretty. I think I'm going to talk about memorization in one only podcast because it's such an important topic for me. I understand that if you don't memorize all the concepts, at least the most important for you in your profession, in your area of expertise, is going to be pretty hard to understand and to get better. The other thing is that in order to think better, you need to have a certain block of time for deep learning. I'm going to also work on another session and I'm going to work with you and I'm going to talk to you why deep learning is such important for me is after 5 a.m., 7 a.m., or 5, 9 a.m. in the morning, the first 4 to 3 hours that I could get for thinking, writing, and practice. The most important task of the day is where you get the most energy and you will for sure if you do this often and put this into a structured routine, you will get more wisdom. I hope you like this video. I hope you like this podcast. If you do, please share with friends. Let me know your comments, your thoughts, and I see you in the next podcast. Bye.